Now, I would like to introduce today's presenter. Justin Bear hails from Bethesda, Maryland. He is the CEO and founder of MemberText, the leading text marketing software built exclusively for golf and country clubs. MemberText currently powers text marketing for some of the most prestigious clubs in the country. He uses his experience as a club member for over 25 years and his work experience with hundreds of clubs across the country to develop his list of top trends and threats clubs are facing in 2018. Now, let me introduce Justin Bear.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much, Sarah. Can everybody hear me okay? Maybe just use the chat box and we can make sure the chat box is working. If you can hear me and you can see my screen, just put a little something in the chat box. But thank you guys all for hanging out here and spending some time. If you guys saw me at the CMAA National Conference in Nashville, I've got some more updated slides. So if you saw this already, you're going to see some new kind of trends that I've been seeing, and just as I've been speaking with GMs and membership marketing folks. So let's see. The presentation has started. So no one has written in the chat box. Does that mean you cannot hear me? Anybody can everyone hear me okay? You just drop something in the chat. Sarah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm looking. I have a few. I just sent the connection information to everyone as well.
Okay, cool. Wayne, thank you. All right, Gregory, fantastic. Everybody can hear me? Perfect, and you guys can see my screen. So without further ado, if Sarah, okay, I'll just start cranking along because I want to kind of buzz through these really quickly. And then if you guys have any questions, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Melanie. James, great. So I like to kind of be fast and kind of make this interactive as well. So if you guys have some ideas while I'm going through some of these, because there's going to be a little more high-level trends, and then I'm going to kind of dive deep into some really specific use cases that I think would work, but I'd love to make this interactive, and if you have some ideas that you're able to share, that would be fantastic. So let's crank through these. I think the description maybe said 3 or 5 tech trends, but or that's what I did in Nashville, but I think we probably may cover 10 or 12 different ideas in here. So let's just get cranking on it right away here. Let's get these slides rolling. Perfect. So you got a quick bio on me. I've been an entrepreneur forever and started MemberText about 3.5 years ago. We have almost 300 clubs in our platform now. And I'm also a member at Woodmont in Rockville, which is just outside of DC, kind of on the Maryland side. So I kind of come at this from a member side and kind of a little bit on the internal business side as well. So I may even share some ideas on what I think some clubs or opportunities clubs have just from a member standpoint. So quick, what's on the agenda? I'll be covering the trends that I'm seeing, how to capitalize them, real world examples, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of what MemberText is like and how clubs are using it, and then questions as well. But if you have questions and they kind of pertain to that specific slide, just pop it in the chat. And then if you want to see this presentation, you can actually just text me if you want. You can text me your email address. I'll shoot it over to you. You can always email me as well, justin@membertext.net. But you can text me your email if you have any questions also. You can always feel free to reach out to me. All right, so let's get to it. First one, a little more interactive here. I think we're all going to get this. Our most precious commodity, right? So what are our members value most? What do you think that is? Put it in the chat. If nobody answers, Sarah, I think we all kind of know this one, but our most precious commodity is, bingo, right? It's time, right? So time is our members' most valuable commodity. How can we save people time, right? Let's think about the top startups, right? So here, these are all the big top startups everyone's talking about: TaskRabbit and Instacart and Blue Apron, Uber, right? So what is TaskRabbit? What does Instacart sell, right? They bring your groceries to you. TaskRabbit, I can have somebody hook up my Ring doorbell and find somebody and they'll show up to my house in an hour. What all these startups are doing, they're not selling groceries, they're selling saving me time, right? How can I do this? You have Amazon, right? And I can buy my kids diapers by swiping. I don't have to type anything in. I just swipe and the diapers show up at my door, in 2 days. It's saving me time. I don't have to drive. I don't have to go, get hit in the parking lot. I don't have to park. It's all about saving time, and people are willing to pay for it, especially wealthier people, right? Wealthier people by far, this is huge for all your members. They care about saving time the most. It's the most valuable thing to them, which is obviously, jet travel is, awesome, and the plane is great, but the seats are kind of just as nice as the first class in United. But flying private, it's all about saving time. They don't have to wait in line. They don't have to show up 2 hours before the flight. It's just so much easier. It's all about convenience. So that's the kind of the first thing. How can we start thinking about, as marketing and executives at clubs, start thinking about how can we shave 10 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes off members' experiences inside the club and outside the club? If you can do that, members love it. So I'll just give you a couple of real-world examples that I know clubs are doing, and I think this is definitely picking up, which is iPad ordering, right? If we can shave a minute off the server's time from walking from the table back into the kitchen and then typing it into the POS system, that's huge. That saves time. If we can get the food out there faster, members love it. Broken Sound, Woodfield down in Boca, they've got, it's tough clientele from there. They're using iPad ordering, so it's been working out really well. Other kind of neat ways you can use it. So I know this talks about texting, and I'm doing a little bit of plugging on texting here, but it's really simple to do. Is you could let members text the bag room and say, hey, I'm coming up. Can you bring my clubs up to the top? Or, hey, I'm going to be going out to the range. Can you have my clubs ready? Anything to just shave, those 2 minutes off is huge, and members love it. Same thing with the valet. They could text ahead to the valet and have their car ready. Other neat things that you can do is when you guys send out information about events coming up, we may think that it's easy for people when they get an email that they click a link and then they go to your form and then they fill it out with other information. That actually is kind of painstaking now, right? Maybe it wasn't in 1998, but now in 2018, I'm like, oh, I got to click a link and then fill out a form and zoom in. I'm like, that's a pain. So what you can do also with texting is you can actually send a text message out and just say, hey, just reply back, I'm in, or with your name, and people can sign up. So really simple, easy to do this as well. All the texts are kind of going to flow into an online inbox so people can easily respond to it. The response on this has been pretty awesome. Quick case study from Mountain Ridge in New Jersey. After sending out, like 3 emails for an event, they sent out this last minute text. They got 38 reservations just because it made it easy. So that's just one thing. I hope I'm not going too fast because I want to kind of get to a bunch of things in here. So that was kind of from the member standpoint, but I also want to think about how can we save time, just the internal standpoint, right? Just in your own internal staff, where are kind of like the huge speed bumps that we see where we're wasting time, our staff is wasting time? How can we make things a lot more efficient? Well, the first thing is, I think that's a huge time killer, is email, right? So the email back and forth is incredible. It I think it just kills time. I was with my GM actually at my club, and he was telling me about when somebody wants to send out an email, they like email him and they're like, hey, can you send this email about our mixed doubles tennis tournament? And then he'd reply back, sure, I can do that. Well, what's the date? And then they reply back and it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, what image do you want? They'd have like 10 exchange back and forth just to send out one email. It's like a total time killer. So I've got a solution for you guys I think you're going to love, just as an internal solution. So does anybody know what the fastest growing software startup ever is? Not even just now. What's the fastest growing ever? Anybody know what that is? If you drop it in the chat, you'll get a digital high five from me. Let's see. Anybody know what the fastest growing startup is ever? All right. Amazon by Laura. No, not Amazon, but I bet you Amazon uses this software. Okay, so the software is Slack. Okay, has anybody using Slack currently in our that's on the webinar here? Yes, Gregory, sweet. Okay, so what Slack is, I guess a good way to think about it is it's almost like Skype, an internal Skype. And what that means is you can put your whole staff in Slack. They can all have their own account. And of course you can communicate. Okay, cool, 2 people in the Q&A, great. All right, that's like 1 or 2%, I think, of everyone in this webinar. So I'm guessing if I did this hopefully next year, Or if I asked a question at the next conference next February, I bet you we're going to see 10% or 20%. But anyway, getting back to it. So Slack is like Skype, where you can communicate with chat, right? And you can use, they have a Slack app that you can use on your mobile, or obviously you can use desktop. But what you can also do is you can create channels. So let's say you're building a new practice facility, and there's the architect, there's your superintendent, there's the director of golf, there's your board member, there's your GM, and your marketing person and your admin, right? So there's all these kind of stakeholders that are following this whole conversation. Well, you can create a Slack channel, okay, this is what you see kind of like in the hashtags here, and you can make it a Slack channel which is called, brand new practice facility, golf practice facility. And when you can obviously communicate with everybody in there, but instead of sending emails with attachments and then going back in your Outlook and trying to find them, you can just attach the attachment, let's say a couple of pictures, or that's like the blueprints. The architect can just attach the blueprints to your Slack channel, and then you can always go into that channel and find any image or document just pertaining to that specific channel. So you can create a channel for your management and your executive team and your board and your golf team. I mean, there's so many channels you can make. It's so much faster than email. I think you're going to, almost every single startup in San Francisco uses Slack. Like I said, it's the fastest growing startup. It's extremely effective, and there's so many really cool kind of add-ons that all these kind of other startups are starting to use within Slack. You can now do video chats and all kinds of new things. So that's my Slack pitch, and I don't get paid by Slack, even though it's a good endorsement there. Another thing you could do, so Wufoo, this is a great example from the email request example at Woodmont. So when I was talking to Brian, I was like, look, how do people know? Because they're obviously using member text for texting. I said, right now the way Brian handles it, he's the quarterback, or him and his assistant Randy are the quarterback of the people that send out the emails. So I'm like, well, how do you get requests? He's like, well, people just like, my director of golf just emails me. I was like, can you send out something about member or guest? And then he's got to go. Then they like email back and forth until they get all the information. I'm like, forget that. Just create a form. So a really easy, simple form builder is called Wufoo, WUFOO. If you go to wufoo.com, actually, let me pull up, see if I can see something here. No, I can't see the Q&As. Shucks. All right, I can't see the Q&As, but Sarah can. So wufoo.com, basically you can create a form and call it email. This is the form that you have to fill out if you want to send an email. And in there, you can ask people, you've got to upload your flyer. You got to tell me when you want it sent out. You got to tell me the subject line you want, what you want in it, when is it, what time is it. And you create all these fields, and the tennis pro cannot send out an email until they fill out this form, and then it goes to kind of your quarterback. So it just kind of saves time on that. So that's kind of a big trend I think you're going to see across pretty much all companies, not just clubs, is like how we can be a little bit more efficient. So check out those two options. Now, another big trend, I was actually speaking down in Florida, and the Florida clubs are extremely sensitive about this. Security. I think this is a huge one. I think when it comes to internal kind of IT security, kind of IT policies, IT protocols, password changes, system and backup data, and backups being done, I think that's definitely kind of getting bumped up to the front of top priorities in clubs. The other thing is physical security. This is the big one down in Florida, and I'm blanking on the shooting town. I know it's near Boca actually. I can't think of it right now, but anyway, I know for sure in Florida, and I've heard a couple of the areas, people are really getting concerned about security, and the new camera technology is incredible. I think you're going to start seeing facial recognition and different intelligence. I think if you don't have it already, I think in the next couple of years you'll have license plate recognition. So you'll know who's coming in, who's coming out, which could help you from a security standpoint, and I think could also eventually help you with welcoming members when they drive in because they'll know who they are. But Parkland, oh, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, it's the Parkland, Florida. So thanks, Kevin. So yeah, license plate recognition. The resolutions on these cameras are ridiculous now, and they're also getting cheaper as well. And the archives are getting larger. Remember the old days? You'd have like VHS tapes, and you'd have to like change them out every day. And if no one had a problem, like you just like tape on top of them. So now the archives are just insanely big. So that's kind of another trend I saw. Next thing that I'm seeing more and more of is predictive analytics. So, and the idea behind here is, okay, how can we slow the churn? How can we figure out when members are going to leave the club before they even know they're going to leave? And I think you're starting to see a lot more clubs utilize this and try and pick the variables on what they think are going to score somebody that's potentially leaving, and kind of give them an engaged number. And tracking this and kind of acting on it is key. When I was at the NCA conference last month, so Justin Firestone, the CEO of Wheels Up, which is basically a membership just like in the sky for private aviation, but it kind of deals with the same thing all of us are dealing with, or all of, most of the GMs on this call are dealing with, is churning members. And he has a very specific procedure and protocol in place that when a member doesn't communicate for X number of months or doesn't show up or doesn't do X, Y, and Z, it triggers a score. And sometimes if it triggers a high enough score, he'll call them directly. He'll probably offer them some free services to try and keep them. Maybe he gives them a couple of free hours to book a flight. And I think this you're going to start seeing kind of this predictive analytics dashboard coming soon. And I think Jonas and CE and some of the other big platforms are starting to offer it as well. So we all know this, right? It's always cheaper to keep them. I think as the old saying goes, but they're saying it's 7 times cheaper to keep an existing customer than it is to go win a new one. So if you have to go to that member and say, hey, why don't you guys come? It's your anniversary coming up. Why don't you come and have a meal on us? Yeah, I know it costs money, but it'd be a lot cheaper to keep them than it is to go find somebody else. Okay, so that's the next trend. Trend number 5. Does anybody know who the largest holder or tenant of real estate in Manhattan is with over 3 million square feet? I think they're becoming the largest tenant in the world, actually. Anybody know what that is? Pop it on chat. Boom. Gregory got it. It is WeWork. Carl, close. I know Related's big, but it's WeWork, right? So WeWork, if you guys haven't heard of them, it's shared workspaces. Okay, so it's a huge trend. Obviously, with the younger kind of millennials, nobody wants to go into an office. People kind of want to work from home. They want to work in these shared workspaces. And this, I think, is a huge opportunity for clubs to kind of create. So when I was at, I kind of did like a mini poll in my session. There was about, I don't know, 750 people in there. I think, I don't know, maybe a handful of hands went up as far as who let members work out of the club and kind of have like an office center in there, just because the stats are right there in front of us, right? People are wanting to work from home. So if they're working from home, they might as well work out from the club. But I think this is such an easy win for clubs, is to create a little room where you can put some roll-in standing desks, where you can bring them out, bring them in. There's so much unused space during the day. You could throw some coffee in there, put some snacks, put some iced tea, and this is huge. So the cool thing is, my club, Woodmont, Brian actually just put this in last Tuesday, and I went in there. I was on there on Friday. I think there were 10 people in there. And where are all those 10 people going to eat? They're going to eat at the club. They're going to have lunch there. They're going to go play golf. Like, that's what millennials want. I think this is going to be the top kind of extra add-on that I think for sure young members, when you're giving them a tour, kind of the amenity, when you're giving members a tour now and you're like, hey, by the way, you kind of paint this story, paint this picture. By the way, if you're able to work from home for a couple of days, you can come to the club, you can use your computer, you can do your business calls, and then you can go out and hit balls, or you can go out and play 9 holes and then kind of meet the family for dinner afterwards. Like, kind of painting that picture is huge, and I think such a winner. And look, I pay for an office space, I pay for a shared workspace. Well, now that Woodmont has it, I'm like, I don't even need to pay for it anymore. Kind of makes my dues feel like, I think my shared workspace is $250 a month. I'm like, well, now I can cut that out, and now in my $1,000 dues at Woodmont, they're only $750, right? So I think this is going to be a really fun amenity to start thinking about. Yeah, so major revenue opportunity, kind of making the club kind of that third place, just the way Starbucks used to try and think about it. So you like work, home, and then the club. Great for lunch and dinners, work meetings, drinks, golf after work, going to the gym, right? I'm sure most of you guys now have pretty extensive fitness centers. So I think that's an easy win. Okay. So the next thing is getting on social media. I think every club's got to be doing this. I know more and more are. Whether we like it or not, this is just the way it is. Maybe in 10 years, it will be something else. It'll be something implanted in our arms. Who knows, whatever it is. But for right now, your members are on Facebook. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on YouTube. It's like if that's where they are, that's where we have to be. So I think the storm is here. There's so much potential. The internet and the size of this thing is growing at a rate that's really unfathomable. It's kind of hard to even comprehend how big it is. But there's an opportunity here for clubs, and most I think are not doing it. This is just Instagram. I think a really neat stat from Instagram was it took 50 years for the radio. I'm sorry, it took 38 years for 50 million households to get the radio. It took, I believe, 18 years for 50 million households to get TV. Instagram got 50 million people in a matter of months. So it just gives you a sense of how fast this stuff is going. So I get this a lot. Okay, well, what should we do on social media, right? Like, how the heck do you want us to use it? And really, it's simple in a way. Like, I basically said, give people FOMO. Right? Does anybody know what FOMO is on there? Put it in the chat. What's FOMO? FOMO. Let's see if anybody gets this in the chat. But let's give it a couple more seconds. Okay. Yeah. Teresa did. Okay. Fear of missing out. That's the game. That's really it. Okay, cool, Paige. Awesome. So that's what you want to do. You just want to give current members and prospective members FOMO. Give them the fear of missing out. That means posting photos of food, people having fun, how awesome your golf course looks, the brand new sand trap you just redid, the chef. Go back in the kitchen with the chef and go back in the kitchen with the chef while the chef's cooking something. Let's cooking a steak, and you're like, all right, chef, I'm videoing you. Walk our members through how to cook the perfect steak. He or she's going to be psyched. You're going to have this awesome video. Just do it right on your phone. You can get high def now on your phone. I mean, it's ridiculous. Film it, put it up on your social media platform, and members are going to love it. Put it on Facebook. Chef, how to cook the perfect steak. Done. I guarantee you're going to get tons of views on something like that. Now, there's also, back in the day, you'd need like Final Cut Pro to kind of make videos look decent. Now, there's all of these kind of really inexpensive apps that you can do right on your phone or on your computer that already pre-make the apps, and you just drop your photos in, and it does all the cool zooming in and out and that you need to do. One of them is called Ripple, RIPL. Another one I like is called WeVideo. There's Wave, that's pretty popular, wave.video. Adobe Spark is another one. So these are all apps where you can create a really high, expensive, rich-looking video in seconds for really nothing. I don't know, $10, $15 to download some of these apps. So I would definitely start using this, document what's going on at the club, give people FOMO. A couple of inspiration accounts to follow. Vancouver Club's pretty neat. Soho House, Kukulua, Bighorn Golf. I mean, when I was looking through these, it's not even like I didn't find any that were like crushing it. I mean, I saw a few posts here and there that I thought were really interesting from each one of them. So I would look at all of them and kind of pick and choose. But I would put this, if you can, I would post every single day. Okay, and it's not just because I want to keep members up to date on what's going on every single day. It's that the Instagram algorithms, they want to continuously show people that are kind of active, and that's kind of one of the key ingredients to kind of showing up in the algorithm. The algorithm on Instagram right now is no longer chronological. It's not like you post and then I post and then our friends see mine and then they see yours. It's not how they do it. Now it's all about which post is getting the engagement, which account has high authority, and one of the big things is consistency. So don't just like do a bunch of posts this week and then go cold for 3 weeks. That's going to be bad. I'd rather you drip out 3 posts a week than do 10 posts this week and then nothing for the next 3, if that kind of makes sense. Okay, so from a general manager standpoint, I know there's a lot of general managers on this call, and there's kind of membership marketing folks as well. Is you guys, if it was me, I would have my own account as well, and it's for a bunch of reasons. One, I think it can still help kind of drive this FOMO piece, but I think it can drive something just for your own career and letting members know what the heck you do, because I think members really, some of them probably think that this is what your day is like, that you've got this cushy job and you just hop into meetings here and there. and then the members complain all day. But we all know your job's like insanely hard. I mean, there's not many CEO jobs out there where every one of your customers has your phone number and they barge into your office asking you questions. It doesn't usually happen at big corporations where you're managing hundreds of people, but it does at clubs, which makes it really hard. So what would I do if, kind of I worked at the club? I would document my day. Really, that's it. You don't have to do much else. I'd have an Instagram account. I'd have a Facebook account. I would friend every single member, and I would document my day. I'd be like, okay, walking into our meeting, I'd take a picture of the blueprints when we're making that new, golf facility. Um, and I could see everybody around the room, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm about to go check on our new fifth hole sand trap thing, and walking, I would snap pictures, everything, basically just document my day. And I think you're going to see members be like, whoa, you know, just does a lot around here. Holy cow. And I think that goes for membership and marketing when you're giving tours and all kinds of stuff. Okay. The next threat is obviously our communication threat. So I kind of touched on this before a little bit, and this is kind of where member text comes in, which is I think one of the biggest threats happening with clubs is the way we communicate, right? So basically the main way, I can at this point, I mean, I talk to clubs every day. I mean, the number of paper newsletters is definitely going down. Some still do, like a quarterly newsletter that they'll mail out. But for the most part, it's email. The problem is email open rates are kind of going down. Click-through rates are going down. Time to open is increasing. And the reason behind that is the average person gets almost 3,000 emails a month in their inbox. That's the average person. Your club members probably get 5,000 plus. And so when you guys are trying to squeeze your 6, 7, 8 club emails into somebody getting 5,000, it's like almost impossible, right? So that's why we're seeing kind of open rates going down and click-through rates going down. Time to open is also increasing. This is a bad one. So when you have, actually, I got a message this past week from one of the clubs. If you have a code brown in the pool and you need to get information out and let parents know, like, hey, we're not going to be opening at 10 a.m. today. We're going to be opening at 2 p.m. because we have to vacuum out the pool. You send an email out, and yeah, maybe you get 30, 40, 50% open rates on some emails. It could take several days for that to happen. It's not like they get this email within the first 10 minutes. So this is kind of a huge issue. This is by far within the last 12 months to 18 months the biggest problem, not just clubs, but really, most businesses are having that kind of do mass email are these promotion folders that are popping now up in Gmail. So if any of you guys use Gmail personally, which I'm sure most of your members use, Gmail has something called the promotions tab. It is basically like a junk mail folder for email. It's not spam. It's actually a different folder. And what they're doing is they're sifting out. They know if you're sending an email out and it's going to more, with an unsubscribe or it's going to hundreds of people at once, they're putting it in this promotion folder. So you can see my Woodmont emails go into the promotions folder along with all the other junk like Groupon. And as this gets lost, nobody reads this mess. Nobody reads this inbox. And Outlook is rolling out their version of it called an other folder. So definitely keep an eye on that. This is a huge problem. So email is definitely kind of going away. You look at these big email-based businesses like Groupon, like they can't get anybody to open their emails anymore. And all this is resulting in, unfilled event seats and dining rooms not filling up and golf tournaments maybe not filling up or not filling as fast as they should, merchandise sales, member engagement going down, members dropping out. So how are we going to solve this? And these next two pictures, I think, say it all and are pretty cool, actually. So this is the Pope's announcement in 2005. Okay, so this is the Pope's announcement in 2005. This is the Pope's announcement 8 years later. Right, pretty neat. Let me just go back. 2005, same spot, 8 years later, right? We know this. The whole world's changed. We're all on our phones now. We're all addicted to our phones. We don't go an hour without checking it. The average person checks their phone 150 times a day. 80% of that is for text messaging. So if our members are doing something 150 times a day, we should be there in some capacity. Now, I'm not saying be there every single day. When it comes to text messaging, you got to be a little bit more careful than we are with email. I think where we're seeing our clubs kind of crush it is in the kind of that 1 to 2, maybe 3 texts a week. And, that's if you can really segment your list, which is what we can do as well. But the reason why texts are so effective is you have a 98% open rate, and they're read within 3 minutes. So remember, we're talking about for all those disruptions. Like, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'm on all the clubs, most of their alerts. It's amazing how many disruptions, how many times the phone lines go down, how many times this goes down, or our power's out, or there's a water main break, or you can't use this parking lot, and there's so many changes that go on. All people want to know is they just want to know. Just keep me informed. It's like if you've ever been on a plane and you push back from the gate and all of a sudden the plane stops and you're just sitting there and you're like, what the heck is going on? Why doesn't the pilot just hop on and say, look, we're having an issue with the such and such? But it takes them like 20 minutes and it just drives people crazy. Like we just want to know what's going on. Just keep people informed and you're going to be way ahead of the battle. Um, I've got this slide in here about, I know, I mean, obviously most of our clients have apps. One of the things that comes up is, oh, why push notifications? Unfortunately, push notifications actually has a very poor open rate. The reason is most people don't turn on notifications. And the other thing is there's no like inbox where the notification can kind of live. So if you send me a note tonight about, hey, why don't you come to dinner Saturday night? Like I can't, if you're sending it to me now when I get home and I talk to my wife, there's no like place for me to kind of go and see. And also kind of push notifications are kind of like the new spam. So like we don't want the club's emails really sitting next to like Words with Friends crossword app. So that's kind of the big thing. So I think text message is by far the biggest winner here. I'm going to buzz through the next few here because I want to get to kind of some of the neat new features that we have. This is really neat. Basically just saying that if you can get your members on as text subscribers and email subscribers both, they're 3.9 times, almost 400% more likely to kind of engage with you than if they were just on the email alone. So that's pretty neat. Let me just buzz ahead here. I know I get this question all the time, like, oh, my members are kind of older. All the clubs are older. But the cool thing is seniors, if you notice, they're all FaceTiming with their kids now, with their grandkids. They all have smartphones. They're the fastest growing users of text message. And if you think about it, seniors don't even need to check email that much. You're like, why do they need to check it all the time? They don't, but they're all communicating with their kind of kids and grandkids easily here. Quick case study, Woodmont, they brought in 50% more people than they did the year before. They sent out one text message. Pretty cool stuff. Let me just buzz ahead here. So the cool thing with member text is we only work with golf and country clubs. It's just we understand this. Our developers are constantly coming up with new features and new tools that I'm going to share a couple of them with you right here that I think are pretty neat. But I think from a core standpoint, where I think you guys could get a ton of value is increasing attendance to events, reducing no-shows, sending reminders, promoting specials, emergency messages, all your weather information, your weather delays. Now that we're kind of in swim season, there's so many like kind of lightning strikes that kind of cancel swim team and so many things like that. RSVPing to events, that's something new. So I think we kind of covered this already. Somebody asked, okay, well, where do the texts come in? I'm seeing on the chat. So the text will go into an online inbox. So just like you have online email on your computer, you have an online inbox as a tab, right? Just like Gmail, except it'll be text messages coming in. So we already talked about this. Other neat things you can do with member text is you can group everybody. So you can create your different subgroups and your different affinity groups, your clubs within a club, so to speak. So you can do your golf group and your fitness group and your pool group and your swim team and your hiking group and your mahjong group and bridge group. And you can even drill down even more. You can say, I want to send a text just to the ladies in the golf group because you want to send something about, maybe it's ladies guest day. Other cool neat things you can do, you can create groups on the fly. So Arizona Country Club, as an example, for their member guests, they create a group just for the players. We drop all the players in it, all the participants, and then the pro can send out really fun messages, ripping on the guys and kind of neat things like that. You can also put GIFs in here. You can put images directly into the text messages as well, great for kind of demo days and flash sales, fun stuff like that. Staff communications, easy win for everybody probably on this call, communicating with the whole staff, keeping them up to date. I've got a lot of GMs now that are saying, you know what, I want a F&B staff group and I want a golf staff group so they can communicate with them separately. We have a birthday module on members' birthdays. They can get a text message as well. Here, let me skip ahead to a couple of the neat things. I have a couple of clubs. Obviously, can the responses be set up so that the member number shows along with their response in the inbox? Yeah, you can easily see what the member name is and the and their phone number. And you can actually text back and forth just a one-on-one. In fact, you can even send a message to say Mr. Green and say, hey, Mr. Green, just want to let you know you left your jacket in one of the golf carts. We've got it at the front desk. So you could send that as a text instead of calling them if you wanted. I do have several clubs, kind of most of the bigger ones with spas that want to do appointment reminders, just like you probably get something similar to like this at your dentist. So we have that same technology. Surveys and polling, I would say this is the fastest feature we have, fastest growing using feature, where you can send a text out. This is great for getting feedback on the club. Hey, how was Mother's Day brunch? Please give us a rating. We'd love to know how your experience was, and people can reply back. And whenever they reply, we have conditional responses. So if they reply back one for poor, you can send a text out that says, I'm so sorry you had a poor experience. Our GM's been notified. Thank you so much, etc. So you can definitely check that out. And actually, one really cool thing that a club did this past week was you can send a survey out just as far as an engagement goes, and they say, who do you think is going to win the PGA this weekend? You think it's going to be Rory, Tiger, or Brooks Koepka? Whatever they replied back, you would say, okay, we think so too. Great idea. Don't forget, we're streaming the final round at our main bar at 3 p.m. Just kind of like a fun way to kind of use this tool. It doesn't always just have to be for feedback and surveys. Okay. Town hall voting. So we do have the ability to send out votes. It depends. Each club's a little bit different, but you can kind of do a live poll and kind of put it up on the screen. Two-way texting with members. We talked about this. So you're going to send a text out to 1,000 people. One person responds. You can send one text back and forth. That's easy to do. This is amazing. Now I'm sure you guys have gotten text messages from like a 5-digit code. That's a short code, and we have a lot of clients still on short codes, but now we can enable the landline number of the club. So when you send a text message out, it's going to actually come from the club's line, and it'll show up on their phone, as Polo Club. So that would be really cool to do, and I think that's coming. We work with hundreds of clients. You guys are in great company. I'm just going to quickly buzz through a couple of these. Let me just get right to what I think is a pretty crucial part, which is the setup. So the setup is really important. The difference between us and kind of what sets us apart is, one, this is like our bread and butter. This is what we do. This is huge. The success is in the setup. So we do everything. It's totally turnkey. We set up all your groups, all your intro messages. We get everybody self-segmented in the right groups. We set up your birthday campaigns. We clean your list. So this is the huge part, right? So like we know whether you're using Jonas or CE or Members First or sorry, it doesn't matter. But doing this hundreds of times, we know you've got cell phone numbers sitting in the wrong columns. Like we know you probably have cell phone numbers sitting in like the alternatives 2 column or the fax column. It doesn't matter. Our system can figure out which is the landline number and which is the cell, which is why most of these big software companies can't ever get the texting thing off the ground, because their cell phone numbers are all in the wrong place. And there's one other big reason too. But hang on, let me switch the slides, not changing. Anyone we don't have a cell phone number for, we'll create one of these flyers for you. So you can allow members to sign up themselves right from their phone. They're not going to have to log in or go online or do anything like that. They can just text Brentwood to a number I give you, and they will be kind of in the system. So that is really cool, is that we allow them to kind of join themselves. Let me just keep going here. Support when you need us. I think this is huge. I mean, I always think it is whenever I'm kind of using a software. We're here for you guys 7 days a week. We know your business is really run on the weekends. We're here for you. I'll even give you my cell phone number if you need anything. And then quickly on the pricing. So the way it works is you kind of have like batches of text messages, and we can always move you in and out. So it's not like you're fixed into one. If we'll keep an eye on it for the next 30 days. But let's say you had 500 members and you wanted to send out one text a week. I would say, okay, go into the 5,000 texts per month. And when you send out one text to 500 people, if you had 100 people in your Fat Tuesdays men's league and you send one text out, so that'd be 100 minus your 5,000, you'd have 4,900 texts remaining. So this is normally the pricing, which is really pennies a person per member. But what we're doing special for CMAA is the price is pretty dramatically less, and there's no setup fee. It's usually $750 till the end of June. Basically, you're going to get all the features free for the most part. Support 7 days a week. There's no contract. You're not locked into anything. You're subscribed to our best practices. I think for the price, I think you're getting a tremendous value. Just being able to stop kind of your club president from showing up at the club when your kitchen's out of order, is just kind of priceless. But keeping members informed is going to be huge, and for $200, it's definitely an easy win. If you have any questions about this, you can always reach out to me. Why don't we do some Q&A? And let's see here in the chat. What happens when you go over 15,000 texts? Over 15,000, it's really nominal per text. So I can, I can talk to you about what happens. Nothing really. Like you'll still be able to use it, and I'll just get a notification, and we'll just chat and put you in the right package. We definitely have some clubs that are way above 15,000. So no worries there. Patricia, can members be enrolled for text messages by the club, or they must opt in? So let me show you how we do the opt-in. I think it's pretty neat, actually. So we have a couple of different ways to do the onboarding. So the first thing I recommend doing, and I'll send you this exact email, which is you're going to send an email out to membership. It just gives them a heads up, right, that this is coming, that you're creating this. Something like this: dear members, as a way to enhance our communication, we're introducing this optional text messaging program. Gives us a way to reach you in case there's an emergency, let you know about important things happening around the club. Program's completely optional. You can opt out at any time. Look for an introductory text message from us in the next few days, something like that. And then the following day, we can do one of these two text messages. Okay, so the one's a little more aggressive than the next, but I would go with B. Most of my clubs do B now, which is, hey, welcome to Hazeltine Nationals text program. You'll receive key information and important updates from the club. To opt out, please reply stop. Right? So that's basically saying you're in. If you don't want to be in, you can just reply stop and opt out, kind of thing. Or you can do A, which is that you're welcome to Oakmont Country Club's text program. You'll receive key information and important or reply yes. Reply yes to opt in to receive key information and important updates from the club. So that allows members to opt in. So either one works really well. Obviously, B is going to work a lot better because members don't have to do anything. They're already in, and the members can opt out at any time. So that's really it. So let me see. How would you set up taking reservations? So the taking reservations part, as far as doing the RSVPs, kind of works the same way as if you sent an email out and sorry, I'm getting something. So it's like if you sent an email out and people responded to the email and they're like, hey, can you add me? No problem. So it's just like instead of working from Outlook and then going into your system, into your POS system and signing that person up for the cooking class, you do the same thing via text. It's just like email, whatever you would normally do on an email. And then, of course, you can send your text out and have them click the link and have them go right into it. Let me see what else. Can we add members anytime? Of course, you can add members. It takes a second, and they can add themselves too as well. That's really easy to do. Do your groups sync with websites? So yeah, you're going to initially pull your list out of Members First or Club Essential. So what I was saying before is most of the databases in those platforms are not great because they're not so accurate. Just because through the years, in the past 20 years, people have had cell phones now, or 15 years at least. They didn't have cell phone number columns, 10 years ago, and so they used to just put it like in the fax column or in like the home to column. So what I want to do is I want you to pull every number out of there, which you could just pull a report from CE or Jonas, and then our system is actually going to figure out which one of those cell phone numbers is the landline number and which one's the cell. So actually clean that data for you. Is there a certain amount of text a day per week you found to be acceptable and not bothersome to membership? So someone asked, like, how many texts should we be sending a week? I think a good number is 1 to 2. Now, because you're able to kind of create the subgroups, your message can be a lot more targeted. So I think 1 to 2 texts to all memberships great. And then if you want to send a text just to the guys in the golf group or the ladies in the hiking group or the pickleball group, I think another text a week is okay in that. But that's because everybody's like okay with it. I mean, I've got a lot of clubs that are sending more than that, but that's because the cadence of that club and the way that club is, everybody's cool with it and loves them. So I think you'll get your cadence down, but if you send 1 to 2 texts a week, I think you're going to be in really good shape. I actually have kind of a bonus trend, if you guys want to hear. It's not tech related, but it's just something that I experience as a kind of a young member with 2 kids, if you guys want to hear it. So this, and by the way, keep the questions coming. Here we go. Here's a question. Is there a plan to link the responses to an online website through their member number? So we actually do know their member number, and you can easily create kind of responses. It's not automatic yet, but it's something we are working on. Will the recipient of a focus group text know that the text received is just for the group and not for general text? Will the recipient of a focus group, Gregory, what do you mean by that exactly by focus group? Text know that their text is received is just for the group and not for general text. You mean like the men's golf group? Like, do they know it's just for the men's golf group and not for the whole club? How will it look different from a general text? I think it's basically what you say in there. And you can always sign off like from, Joe, David Dorn, head pro at Woodmont. I think there's probably the kind of the ways you can kind of write it out so that you could say, hey, men's golf league, we were thinking about switching, our finals from Thursday to Sunday based on weather. Are you guys okay with that? I think people will get that. Can reservations sync with Club Essential? So I would look at this just like email. So when an email comes in, you would go into your CE platform and sign the person up. Just like if I called on the phone to your front desk and I said, hey, can you sign me up for Mother's Day brunch? That person on the phone would be kind of have their something in, they have the phone to their ear and they'd be typing on the other end into Club Essential, adding that person. That's kind of the way I would look at it. Let's see. Okay, great. Yeah, that answered Greg's question. Okay, so let me give you this bonus trend. I think this is just something that's an easy win for clubs, and you guys can keep the questions coming while I'm doing this, which is catering to kids. That's kind of the next thing. I think it's Kids 2.0. I think most clubs now have a kids menu. So I've got two little girls, 3 and 5, and it's always a pain kind of finding places that are easy for them and kind of why or why not we would choose a club or choose the club to bring them. So I think most clubs now have created a kids menu. They've created more of like a casual dining experience or a casual dining option than years ago. But, definitely times have changed. I think kids rule now. The numbers on this are pretty staggering, which is that kids are influencing where families eat out. And so if that's the case, then clubs need to kind of be figuring out, okay, well, how can we get kids to eat at the club? And one of the biggest things is obviously McDonald's. How do they get all these kids kind of hooked into it? And I think if you ask parents, most of them will say that their kids badger them for a trip to McDonald's. And the answer is anybody can answer this pretty easily. I think we all know what it is, which is the toy, right? So my kind of question to you is what is the toy of the club? And I'm not saying it has to actually be a toy. I think it just has to be something kind of neat and fun that our kids that have nothing to do with the food, because my kids barely eat. They eat like 3 things: chicken nuggets and macaroni and pizza. So they're not doing it for the food, but they want to go to the Habit Burger or they want to go to McDonald's because they get a toy. Now, I got a couple of ideas that I think could work for clubs. One is that I just saw another club do is when the parents sit down and the kids sit down, you give the kids like a little cookie dough shaped already as something, and you can put like little sprinkles on it, or they can put M&Ms on it, and then you throw it in the oven. They can kind of decorate it, and then you throw it in the oven, and then they can get a cookie at the end that they made, which is pretty fun. This Habit Burger has like these little, I don't know why, hold on, go back. They've got like a little gummy hamburger that they give out. Whatever it is, it may sound ridiculous, but whatever you can do to kind of make the parents' lives easier, if they know they can come to the club and they get an extra 15 minutes of kind of chill time, then we want to go there and we're happy to spend a little bit more. Other neat things are like Purell hand wipes for kind of young moms. My wife's kind of crazy about kind of germs, so just going to the club and like have somebody handing her like a Purell wipe would be like heaven for her. There's these like little sticky things, these little mats that you can put down on the tables. Our club actually has real high chairs, not those kind of junky wood ones. They kind of invested in some plastic ones with this tray, makes it a lot easier. So kind of basically stuff that clubs mostly do. So I'm sure most of you guys do this. Yeah, this is that cookie dough actually idea. Like how easy is this? You just throw some sprinkles down and you let the kids kind of decorate their cookie, and they can do it for a little bit, and then they get it out, and then me as the parent, I'd be like, okay, well, you got to eat your dinner, and then you get your cookie. So that'd be huge. Holy grail idea. I always tell this to every single club I do. This is the craziest amenity that would be amazing, which is babysitting, right? I think young professionals would pay a lot of money if you guys had babysitting. I know there's some clubs that do it. It's I think I'm not saying it's an easy win, because I'm sure, I don't know the the back end of this or the liability involved, but I know there's some clubs that do it, and I would love it. So anyway, if you want more information, in fact, if you're on this call and you want to use member text, I'm going to throw in 10,000 free text messages for you. Just mention that you were on this webinar. So you're going to get the discounted CMAA pricing, plus just say, hey, I was on that webinar. I'm on the 10,000 free text. And you'll get 10,000 free text to use anytime throughout the year, basically. So you could probably even start with a small package for $179 and then kind of use up the 10,000 if you wanted. So just at membertext.net or call or text me 410-935-1999 right now with your email, and I'll shoot you back a link to my my calendar and demo. We can just hop on and I'll run you through kind of the back end. But we'd love to help you out. I know texting is going to be awesome. It's huge from an emergency standpoint, being able to have a different silo, so that not all your communications are under one roof. You know, Jonas has gone down, CE's gone down. If that happens, you still have another way to communicate with the members, which I think is super important. So anyway, we'd love to help you out. And there's a guarantee on it, 3 months for sure. You can use it for 3 months. If you don't love it, we'll refund you. Okay, hold on. What about Twitter? Not mentioned at all. So hold on. Let me see some of these other questions. So somebody asked, well, what about Twitter? I think Twitter's in there. It's kind of like my fourth pick. I mean, I think Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think Twitter, yeah, I mean, I would do Twitter for kind of like your news, but I think Twitter has gotten a little bit spammy to me. I mean, I think the big one that everybody's hopping onto is Instagram, and Facebook is still a powerhouse for sure. But yeah, I mean, and oh, you know what's another good idea? Is if for your social media, I use later.com. Later.com, I wonder if I can escape out of this thing right here. But later.com is a scheduler. So whether you want to post to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, later.com lets you post to all 5 at one time. Okay, so that way you don't even have to worry about it. You just connect all the accounts, you make one post, you can schedule it. So you can do all your posts for next week, today, in an hour, and it'll post, every day at 3 p.m. And make sure you're using your hashtags too. Okay, so you get up to 30 hashtags, you should be using them all. So your geographic hashtags and all the other hashtags, you'd be surprised at how many people are actually searching these hashtags. Okay, let me see. Go back. We got a couple other questions. How many users' licenses are included? Like, can Garden Club manage their own members, or does it have to go through a staff member? So you get, this is somebody asked about user licenses. Multiple people can be using the platform at the same time. We actually just rolled out a new feature. I don't even have the slide in here, where you can give access to you can give multiple team members access to the platform. This is to the texting platform, and they can send a text message out right from their phone. So if you guys as GMs and there actually is an emergency, you don't have to log into anything. I'm going to connect your specific cell phone to the platform right from your phone, and it's your phone only. I'm going to give you a number to text. When you text that number, that message goes out to the whole membership. So you're not even going to have to do that. And I know that I've got some current clients on here. If that's something you guys want, just shoot me an email, and we literally just rolled that out. So let me see. We use 4Ts. If we added a link to the text, yeah, exactly. We just open up the 4Ts app, just like the email does. Yep. So when you're sending out a text message with an RSVP, it would just go right, just open up the app. So definitely hit me up, Justin at membertext.net. If you guys have any more questions, just shoot it in the chat. If you have any other questions you want to chat offline about, easy, just email me, call me, go to check out membertext.net. We've got some really cool videos actually from Nashville this past year of other GMs talking about it and how they're using it. But definitely check out Slack. I know we covered a lot of stuff here. Let me see what some of the other neat stuff I think you guys should check out. Slack is definitely worth looking at. Wufoo Forms, and then later.com for your social media scheduling, I think is an easy win too. And all those things are fairly inexpensive into the co-working space. So yeah, that's what I got. Sarah, if there's any questions, unfortunately I can't see the Q&A, which is annoying.
Yep, and
but
I think I got them all over to you, but if anything else pops up, I'll pull them up. But I want to say, Justin, thank you for presenting for us today. And And it's funny, I just got a question about rewatching this, which is what I'm going to cover. As a reminder, today's archive will be on CMAA University in 7 to 10 business days. And Justin, did you mention that you presented at conference as well?
Yeah, I presented at in Nashville.
Well, and for those of you who were in attendance at conference, you can also view the recording of his session in the next few weeks. So that's available as well if you're interested in that. But again, Justin, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so I'll do the wrap up. Our next webinar is scheduled for June 19th, and it's titled Fostering a Compliant and Inclusive Culture, a Key Differentiator in Attracting and Retaining Talent, and it will be presented by Lisa Bauer and Michelle Mikesell from Insperity. So thank you all for joining us today, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.